Welcome to Analytics Nexus. Thanks for joining us for Amber Zaharchuk's presentation, Keys to Implement Data Governance Across a Complex Ecosystem. With more than 10 years of experience in digital analytics, Amber Zaharchuk is proficient in crafting and validating comprehensive analytics solutions. Currently, she's the Associate Director of Affiliate Partnership Development and Operations on Disney's media distribution team. There, she manages the analytics strategy, implementation, and governance of Disney, ABC, ESPN, FX, and National Geographic networks across MVPD, linear, and digital access points. Amber holds an MBA from George Washington University and a BA from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Her analysis and implementation work was featured at various Digital Analytics Association symposia, as well as in the Genetics in Medicine and Applied Marketing Analytics journals.
Hi, I'm Amber Zaharchuk from the Disney Media Distribution team, where I manage the analytics, integrations, and data collection for all of our media distribution partners. All organizations need to have some level of data governance in place. As your organization grows and becomes more complex, it becomes even more important to have a formal practice in place. The goal of your practice is to not only protect your data, but to ensure that it can be used to improve your business. So today we're going to talk about the role of data governance and how it can impact your overall business objectives, the success of your team, and even your personal career growth. So in a perfectly governed world, as we see here, these are some of those things that we would expect to see. Data is standardized across business units, platforms, and products. This becomes more important and more challenging as your organization grows, new platforms are developed, and new products are sent to market. Data is collected only if it is business critical. So think about all of the data you may be collecting just for the sake of collecting it. Do an assessment of your data collection and clean out anything that doesn't provide any real business value. Data is accurate and secure. This may seem like an obvious one, but every analytics team I've ever known has been asked at some point, is the data in XYZ tool accurate? If your stakeholders don't have any trust in your data, it will make it very challenging to get support for your analytics team or efforts. Better data means better business decisions and better financial outcomes, which makes everyone happy. Data dictionaries are clear, concise, and up to date. Documentation can be very tedious and boring, I get it, but it's essential to managing your data and should be part of everyone's role. Data is accessible to those that need it. You can only monetize data if you can access it. If your data is well governed and documented, then you really should have no problems giving people access to it. Data-related roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. Everyone should understand the role they play in governing your data. And this extends to roles outside of just your analytics team. This is especially important when you're working with teams across business units and geographic locations, which nearly all of us are these days. Data democratization is supported by leaders across the organization. This depends on many of the things above. Leaders will not be willing to share data across the organization unless they can trust that it is accurate and easy to understand. And most importantly, and most challenging, is that the humans that support the data are championed. This human component is one of the most difficult to achieve. And again, it relies on everything in the points above. It also requires analytics specialists to grow beyond their analytics-focused roles and to become leaders within their organization. So let's take a look at the 3 pieces that can help you get closer to achieving this ideal state. You've seen this diagram many places before. This isn't anything new. It's the intersection of technology, process, and people. The technology component is the one on which many analytics teams tend to focus. What tools do we use or build or buy? But you don't just get technologies or systems to manage your data. You need the processes and the people to support it. So that may sound simple, right? And maybe it is for some organizations. But then this happens. Welcome to my world. Using the media and entertainment industry as an example, look at how quickly your data ecosystem can become enormously complex. Your team grows from managing 1 or 2 networks to 24. You develop relationships with additional distribution partners. New OTT devices and technologies are released. New apps are built. New streaming services are developed. And maybe you have a little or a major acquisition of even more networks that had their own entirely different set of data dictionaries and processes. So imagine if overnight you became responsible for an Adobe or a Google Analytics implementation that did not at all match your existing implementations. Or maybe, like some of us, your existing implementations didn't even match each other to begin with. This can be really overwhelming to wrangle. So to wrap some sort of governance around it, I found it helpful to focus my efforts on each of the 3 pieces of the Venn diagram. So as we dig deeper into the 3 components needed to advance your governance program, let's take a quick look at the technology piece. But we're not going to spend a lot of time on that because you likely already have what you need. You certainly have the analytic skills, and your organization probably already has the necessary tools. But you may want to more closely assess the tools and systems you already have and determine what you can use that won't require you to pull in yet another technology into your existing tech stack. To that end, focus on aligning your tools with other business units across the enterprise to create efficiencies. Unless absolutely necessary, don't try to reinvent the wheel. When evaluating your systems, look for a particular business unit or maybe a team that represents the best case scenario and try to mirror those systems and processes within that team. Focus on ease of use and practicality. No one will use technologies or tools that make their lives more difficult. That one I can promise you. Make it as easy as possible for your teams and your stakeholders to adopt the tools that you want them to use. So instead, let's turn our focus to the processes and the people that can help you achieve a more mature state of governance. Let's start with the process. I cannot stress enough the importance of documentation. As I mentioned earlier, I know this can be a tedious and painful responsibility, but it's arguably one of the most critical. I have had a role, and I won't mention which one, where when I started, there was not any documentation of previous analytics implementations. 0. I was completely handcuffed for the entire first year of that role, just trying to track down what had been done in the past and why. I lost so much time that I could have used to better learn my role, my new team, and my new responsibilities. So please do it for yourself, for your team, and pay it forward for those that may come after you. Find people on your team that are willing to make documentation a priority, however it works best for them to make updates. That may mean setting aside some time each week to update documentation, or maybe doing it immediately after new work is done to ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. Meeting-free Fridays are becoming really popular. I haven't been able to adopt that yet, but I've heard that many people are. So maybe create a meeting for yourself each Friday where you can just focus on cleaning up your documentation so you can take it on in manageable chunks. Start by clearly defining the roles and responsibilities of your own team. If there are specialists for certain methodologies, tools, business units, or types of implementation or analyses, make that clear to your stakeholders so they know who to go to. Then extend this to your stakeholders so that each team fully understands their responsibilities related to data governance. As part of that, determine accountability measures for both your team and others. This could be anything from not signing off on product releases until analytics work is complete and tested, again, which would be an ideal state, or a notification system for alerting your team right away when there appears to be a data issue. It's also essential to document methodologies and processes, including everything from the reason that major decisions were made to how to implement all of your analytics tools on all your platforms, to quality assurance test plans, to how to reproduce all of the reports that you generate. Even document your meeting notes. Yes, meeting notes. I can't tell you how many times I've thought, I know that we talked about this in ABC meeting, but what was the result? Especially for a team like ours in such a complex ecosystem, because we manage so many networks on so many platforms with so many distribution partners, it's critical to keep all major decisions and project progress documented. So think about, what if the only person in your company with an understanding of your entire analytics implementation and reporting structure walked out the door today? What would happen? Have a succession plan. I'm shocked at how many teams of all types across all types of organizations don't do succession planning. The transfer of knowledge presents a huge challenge to organizations, even those that retain their talent, as it's not uncommon for talented people to move around internally. Have a biannual planning session to identify possible successors for every level of your team, and make an investment in your talent. Again, this seems obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. Focus on continuing education, professional development, and opportunities to gain visibility throughout your organization beyond just the analytics team. Now, let's turn to the most important part of your data governance practice, the people. That's us. Start by trying to build data literacy across your organization. Broaden the data skills beyond just the analytics team. This is an ongoing effort. Do things like develop an in-house analytics curriculum or schedule peer-to-peer training, which we found to be very useful. Use real data and real use cases in your training, which will not only encourage diversity of thought, it will make the information more sticky. Propose the dedication of a single group of IT resources responsible for analytics tools so that that group can become experts in analytics implementations and support. This also allows you to invest in the relationships with this team, and the relationship component is going to be a major theme here. Along the same lines, enlist champions in other groups that treat data as a key asset. This will help you to build analytics work into release cycles, product development, marketing plans, and forecasting. Include business recommendations with each report that you publish. Don't just push out a report with numbers, so that people across your organization can begin to understand why data is important and what types of decisions it can support. Follow the money. Business units that have a direct impact on revenue stand to make more of an investment in data and in analytics teams. And as you've probably heard all the reporters on the news saying throughout this holiday season, pack your patience. Remember that people outside of your world don't have the deep understanding of analytics that you may have. Develop skills in translating data into actionable insights and display some humility when teaching others. It takes time, practice, and patience to be able to describe concepts that are complex to people that don't live in your analytics world. Along the same lines, develop an interest in your stakeholder teams so that you have a better understanding of your overall business and what is important to other teams and other people. Do a stakeholder analysis where you can list all of the key people that you may need to get on board for a project or even just for a conversation, and build an action plan on how to get their buy-in. And this can vary in formality according to how formal the presentation is. You can use it just for conversations, or you can also use it for more formal presentations. Hold open meetings where friends and family of your business unit are free to participate. This gives other people a voice and also provides insight into your business and your workflows. Develop working groups with these people to build a cross-enterprise data community that you can rely on. Influence by proving your value to the business. Illustrate the results of having products, features, and campaigns properly measured to demonstrate ways that developers, for instance, positively impact your products and your revenue. This gives them a stake in the outcome and makes them even more invested in collaborating with you. Enhance your team's credibility by leveraging leaders and role models, not only within your team, but also across other teams. And again, this is dependent on building those relationships throughout your company. Focus on business outcomes and help other teams achieve their goals. Again, follow the money. If there are data-driven ways that your colleagues can improve their own performance and thus perhaps earn their bonus, then you are much more likely to build an ally. And all of this requires more than just analytics knowledge, which I know so many of you already have. It requires an in-depth understanding of your entire business. So take the time to build relationships within your team and across your organization. And finally, the development of your communication skills is critical to transforming from an analytics expert to an analytics leader. When you have opportunities to influence those around you, support your position with your best data, not all the data. People can quickly become overwhelmed with data that isn't crucial to your point or to their needs. Remember, learning how to structure an English paper back in maybe middle school, high school, when trying to promote data quality, tell a story with a beginning and an end and a logical, audience-centric sequence of points in between so that the audience is more engaged. Answer the important questions up front so that you don't lose your audience with information that isn't important to them. For example, if you're providing campaign results on a high-profile campaign that has major revenue implications, start with the results. Don't spend the first 20 minutes talking about the methodology. Rehearse, and then rehearse some more. Again, this goes not only for large presentations, but also for meetings or other key conversations where you may need to influence a group or a teammate or a leader on why data quality is worth the investment. Remember, data governance is a living, breathing practice. It's not a single project that you can complete and put on the shelf. It takes continuous work to truly advance the quality of your organization's data and to influence data champions and stakeholders throughout an ever-changing, complex ecosystem. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope that this will spark some thoughts about your communication and your influencer skills so that you can get buy-in from other leaders within your organization to formalize your data governance practice and to grow your business and prove the value of your talented analytics leaders.
Thanks so much for watching this presentation. Join us on the Analytics Nexus Slack to talk with our presenters about this topic and more.